Hi, it's Delia. So today is September 17th. So it's the eve of the full moon. The full moon will be sometime tonight, technically, but the moon will be full tonight. And the the energy of a full moon, it lasts. It goes on for a while. It starts before the physical time and after the physical time. And this particular full moon is sometimes called the harvest moon, and it's related to completion and finishing up the season. It's celebrating the harvest. It's bringing bringing things to fruition and culmination and completion. Now, completion is something that, as a culture, we're not very good at. Culturally, we're a lot better at initiating than we are at maintaining or completion. And so, just to give you an idea of what this energy is inviting you to, is acknowledging what you have accomplished. And because this is also the window of the equinox, which is on Sunday the 22nd, they're both kind of tag teaming. They're both kind of a similar energy, and they resonate with each other. They're harmonic together. So this window of time between now and Sunday, or more or less, is a really great time to spend some time acknowledging what you have what you have created in your life. You don't need to be too picky about when you started the project, but just have in mind acknowledging that you've completed things, that you've created things, that there were things that you wanted that you now have, or there were things that you wanted to do that you've now done. This kind of acknowledging your efforts, what you have been applying your creative life force energy to, is really, really powerful. I know that this is the beginning of the season of gratitude in a lot of parts of the culture, and that's great if it works for you. And if for some of us there's energy around gratitude because of the people who have been stressing it and because of the circumstances. So you can clear the energy of gratitude and what it means to you, but in the short form, it's an opportunity to perceive what you have been creating and what you have been accomplishing. And I call this energy the energy of appreciation. So when you can appreciate what you've been accomplishing, what you've been doing, and you can see the fruits of your labor, you can start to acknowledge you and how you are a creator and how you are accomplishing things. We're so enculturated to, I like to say, you go into the kitchen and you clean the kitchen. You clean the counters, but you don't finish all the dishes. Or you wash all the dishes, but you don't clean the counter. There's something done and something undone. And the way we're trained is all you can see and acknowledge and give energy to is what you haven't done yet. And this is a great practice to start to learn how to perceive and acknowledge what you have done. There is always more to do. And all of that gets a lot easier the more ease you have with acknowledging how powerful you are, what a great creator you are, and how much you do accomplish. So sometimes accomplishment, it's like doing your best. Doing your best every day doesn't mean doing 100% every day. It means doing your best for that day. Your best on a day that you're sick is going to be different than your best on the day that you're well rested and you just won the lottery. Your best is doing your best. And it's not always 100%. And that kind of skewed thinking is the same thing as acknowledging what you didn't do instead of acknowledging what you did do. It's a byproduct of this kind of problem-solving identity that our culture has. If you have to be problem-solving all the time, and there's always something wrong, there's always something left undone, and there's always something you didn't do or somebody else didn't do, which is not a very compatible with life kind of point of view, because life is always changing, it's always moving, and there is always something more to do. You'll never reach the number of breaths and then you don't have to breathe anymore. You'll never reach the end of eating and then you don't have to wash the dishes anymore. Life is constantly on the move. And so the more you can appreciate what you are experiencing, what you are accomplishing, what you are creating, how you are generating your dreams and desires in your life. And the more you fill that cup, the more energy and attention you're going to have for, oh, well, I can do this now too, and I can do this now too, I can do this. So you build an expansiveness of your capacities and your abilities, and a much more accurate picture of how you are in the world. Too often we're trained to just look at the negative, or not even the negative. We're trained to judge, and if you're judging, then there's negative. So it's kind of misleading because, again, the nature of life is contrasts. So there's negative and positive have very strong charges and prescribed definitions, which are not actually accurate, but they're agreed upon. And negative is in the culture, it's corrosive, and it's to be avoided at all costs, and it makes you bad or wrong. When in electricity, you have to have positive and negative currents. In a lot of things, there has to be the contrast. So if you aren't concerned with bad and wrong, and you're more concerned with where does the energy want to go, what do you want to create next, what do you want to do now, what do you want to manifest, what do you want to spend your time on generating and bringing into the world. This is a much more productive point of view. It's a much more productive way to spend your time and your life force energy than running things down, you included, and criticizing and seeing what's not done as opposed to what has been accomplished. And this is a time in humanity when everybody's making this shift, personally and hopefully collectively. Well, personally, and that'll grow out into the collective, where we're migrating towards, there's a lot that needs to change, and there's a lot that needs to stop happening. But focusing on the other side of that, once the stupid shit stops happening, what do you want to spend your time on? What do you want to create? The more you can perceive and really bask in the energy of what you want to create, whether it's a beautiful home, a beautiful room to be in, a beautiful place to sleep, or a great car that works for you, or a community, other people that you enjoy being with, that you can be yourself with. And then what would grow out of that? So you have this lovely place for your body to spend time in, your home, and now you have lovely people to spend time with, and they're like-minded, and they all want to make the world a better place in the similar ways that you do. It's as inclusive and generative and appreciating. And the whole freedom to, it's like the era of freedom from and the oppression that has been, it's changing, it's cracking up, it's on its last gasps, so it's getting meaner. But the best way for us to participate in this is to really dwell in where we want to grow into, which is, a healthy planet, healthy business practices that actually support the planet and support humanity, people, above the bottom line. That doesn't mean the bottom line is bad or wrong. It just means it's skewed. The thinking in American business is skewed. And so what would it look like if it wasn't skewed? It would look like business is to support people. It would look like the government is to work for the people and not corporations. So there's a lot of different things that have to change and that are changing and are cracking up. Geopolitically, but also personally. So to bring it back to this specific day and time, this is a time to acknowledge what you have accomplished and what you have completed, and to celebrate that you are creative and you are a great manifester. And even if there's only one thing that you can think of that you have manifested or completed, and there's 10 things that you can think of that you haven't done yet, I want you to experiment with spending your time on the one thing you have done, and start to see what it feels like energetically, vibrationally, in your body, sensations. What does it feel like when you acknowledge yourself and when you acknowledge your power to change your life? And grow that muscle, grow that seed, and allow it to inform you, allow it to give you a different perspective on your efforts and what's possible. There's a lot of changes, and just because I say that all the time doesn't mean it's not true. And there's a lot of things that we've been in the psychic and spiritual community seeing for, since the 80s, 70s, that are now really coming into fruition. 40, 50 years is nothing in the lifetime of a planet or of humanity. I mean, we've been here for billions of years, even though the conventional notions say we only have a few thousand years of history. We actually have a lot more history than that. It just wasn't written down. There's a lot of reasons for that, but that's for another day. So the more you develop the muscle for you to perceive what's right about something, including you, and the more you start to cultivate your sense of freedom to, you're free to do what, you're free to create what's the kind of world you want to live in, what's the kind of friends you want to have, how do you want to feel with people, and how do you want to feel when you go out on the streets. It's great to identify that you want to not feel scared anymore about the guns and the insanity that's been running amok for some period of time now. But what do you want to use that freedom for? Freedom for is something that's not given much thought. It all goes to resistance and freedom against. And switching to freedom for doesn't negate your efforts to your participation in contribution in changing things. It just enlivens it so that you're feeding your vision, and your vision is feeding you. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a growing and expansive way. So just be aware of completions and what you've been accomplishing and what you've been creating, and let that be the energy for the next week or so. And also, this is a really great time to have an altar. The purpose of an altar, everybody has their own definition, I'm sure, but in my mind, the purpose of having an altar is to remind you what's valuable and important to you. So a lot of times I've seen people who have psychic abilities or a spiritual connection with the all that is, but they don't demonstrate it, they don't show it. Granted, there's reasons for that. They've been trained not to. So I'm inviting you to have some kind of an altar in your line of sight, in somewhere in your dwelling, that reminds you that this is a time of transition, and this is a time to acknowledge your completion and your creations, and acknowledge the changes that are happening, and that you're a big part of the universe. All right, so there you go. Talk to you soon.